So who had the worst week in Washington? MSNBC contributor and Washington Post opinion writer Jonathan Capehart joins us now. All right. I've got a couple of options myself. Yeah, let's hear the drum roll. And who is your worst week?
Okay, the person who had the worst week in Washington is Texas Governor Rick Perry. And for probably the main reason, as we know, this week was supposed to be the week he was to unveil his flat tax proposal. This was supposed to be, the effort to jumpstart his campaign after all these terrible debate performances. And instead, as Chris Cillizza writes in his column, he found himself repeatedly driving around the rhetorical cul-de-sac of birtherism, joking with Donald Trump about the president possibly not being born in the United States, repeating that charge to John Harwood of CNBC, and finds himself, Texas Governor Rick Perry finds himself trying to get discussion of his flat tax to get over the hurdle of having to talk about the birther issue. It was a complete and total failure on his part.
Let me just play devil's advocate. I'm not saying I disagree, but how do you beat Herman Cain and the smoking web video? You got to admit, it's in there.
No, yeah, it's pretty bad. But look at it this way. If you look at it substantively, Rick Perry wanted his flat tax proposal to be the discussion driving the week, and he failed because he got bogged down in the birther conversation. Everyone is still mystified over how Herman Cain got to the position that he's in, particularly when he has no infrastructure in the two big contests that will determine who gets to go on and get the nomination, Iowa and New Hampshire. And yet he's at the top of most of the public opinion polls, or I should say opinion polls of Republican primary voters. So, to have those two commercials come out, the smoking ad and yellow flowers, it only adds to the sort of mystifying atmosphere of how in the heck did Herman Cain get to this point?
Plus, of course, the New York Times reporting on the internal campaign memos.
Right. Do not speak to him unless spoken to. Let me spring something
on you, Jonathan. Who had the best week beside you?
Who had the best week?
Yeah. Well, did anyone have a good week does anyone ever have a good week in Washington?
I don't know. That's a very hard question. We could maybe say the super committee, only in that it showed signs of life with proposals coming from the Democrats in the committee and Republicans on the committee, and maybe, just maybe, the Obama administration, given the good news that's come out of the economy, whether it's an uptick in GDP growth or the Euro deal. But if they can get that tiny green shoot to spring forward in the quarters leading up to the election, President Obama's reelection effort might not be as tough as it looks right now.
Jonathan Capehart, have a great weekend. See you next week, I hope.
You too.